narrative about rage and anger and photos and deteriorating relationships, and they want you to latch on to this story because the actual physical evidence in the case does not support that Mark Redwine killed his son.
The trial had lasted for 5 weeks. The jury returned its verdict in 6 hours.
Mr. Redwine, please stand up. Jury verdict count number 1, murder in the second degree. We, the jury, find the defendant, Mark Redwine, guilty of count number 1. Be quiet, please. Count number 2, child abuse. We, the jury, find the defendant, Mark Redwine, guilty of count 2, child abuse.
He knows what he did. He knows. I think he deserves to die. I mean, his son died, and I think he needs an equally horrible death.
But there is no death penalty in Colorado, and the sentence for second-degree murder ranges from 16 to 48 years.
People would bring forward Elaine Hall.
I'm really nervous, so
Okay.
bear with me. Dylan was 13 years old when we took his life. When I think about what happened that night, it breaks my heart to think about Dylan looking up at his dad knowing he's the killer. He is my killer. It breaks my heart, and I wonder, what were you thinking then when you saw his big old blue eyes? I mean, I don't even think that it fazed you. I'm just glad that we are free from you and that you will not be free to hurt us anymore. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mark may have physically taken him, and I can't change that. But what I can do is tell the world how a 13-year-old young man stood up to his then 50-year-old father and said all the things I regret never saying. Dylan is my hero and became more of a man in 13 years than Mark has in 60.
Do you need to tell me anything before sentencing?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
But Redwine had expressed his thoughts on the trial in a statement to the probation office.
You wrote the following, and this is a quote from what you wrote. Innocent of all charges, miscarriage of justice, fake conviction, sham trial. I have trouble remembering a convicted criminal defendant that has shown such an utter lack of remorse for his criminal behavior. The community needs to be protected from you. You need to be removed from society for a long period of time. I'm going to sentence you to 48 years on both counts with 5 years of parole. They are to be served concurrently. Deputy Robinson, take the defendant back to jail. Thank you.
I don't think closure is a real part of losing somebody personally. I can't move on from my son. I can't just close the chapter and pretend he never existed. So, I mean, I'll always be sad. I'll always mourn his death. And I'll always celebrate his life.
She and her family never gave up on trying to get justice for Dylan. Just in Colorado alone, there's 1,500 cold cases that have gone unsolved. And so the message that I want to send to those families, to those law enforcement officers that are working on these cases, and to the prosecutors that are considering whether to come forward into court and bring these charges, is to keep fighting and never give up.
Columbia police need your help finding a missing 21-year-old woman, Samantha Josephson. they were kind of throwing her a little party for getting into law school. She was tired, wanted to go home. She went outside and called her an Uber.
He circled, he waved, almost like a shark circling in the water.
She willingly got in the vehicle because like she thought it was her Uber. Drives off, and that's the last time that we could see her on any kind of video.
She has the child lock on, so she cannot open the door, she cannot roll the windows down. They are on and locked.
Well, this was more than a missing person, this was an abduction.
It was a complete panic. My heart dropped to my stomach. I just watched that video of her getting in her car. Easily 100 times for her to go to shift.
Here's the deal, man. Now fold your car over to the matches the suspect. Get your hand in your pocket. What are you, crazy? Get over here. Hey, get over here. I think God had his hand on us that day.
He got
There
it.
was certainly some
To-
divine
oh.
intervention.
Hey,
I got him. Get over here.
Out.
Samantha Jefferson's footprint on the window in Nathaniel Rowland's Impala. This was her cry for help.
Wildly swinging, wildly standing, and whatever rating is going on, and there's not a cut on him? How do you accomplish that with this?
This is what he's going to tell you. I mean, that kind of situation.
And I grabbed a gun.
Trying to find the first place to put a body. No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
Do you want to say anything? Leave it there, either find the defendant.
Columbia's home to the University of South Carolina.
And for students, the place to be on a Thursday night is a part of town called 5 Points.
Bird Dog Bar is right in the middle of all of it, so when you get close to that 2 a.m. hour, it gets pretty crowded out on the streets with folks looking to get something to eat or catch a ride home.
That's what college senior Samantha Josephson was trying to do, catch a ride home.
She'd come down here from Robbinsville, New Jersey. She was about to finish up and was getting ready for graduation in May.
She was getting ready to get into law school, and they were kind of throwing her a little party for getting into law school. She was tired. She wanted to go home, but she didn't want to spoil the party for her friends, so she went outside and called her an Uber.
The ride was confirmed that it was on the way. As she was waiting, she talked to her boyfriend again on the phone.
It seems that when she walked outside, as opposed to taking a right, which is where she
I don't know.
supposed to meet.
Or one of her friends, right?
So they never got synced up together, and eventually
Or give her a ride.
the Uber driver had to cancel the ride because he could not find her to pick her up. She's still looking for the ride. She doesn't realize that it's been canceled at this point. There were several other ride shares that came by. She walked up to the car, tried to approach it as if it was hers, and then quickly realized it was not hers. She then goes back over to the corner to the curb and stands there and continues to wait.
The Uber was supposed to be a dark-colored Dodge, but a dark-colored Chevy Impala is also nearby.
So the Chevy had been driving around 5 Points already. There was video surveillance of the car circling through 5 Points for about the previous 15 minutes or so, and including one time it had driven by about 5 minutes prior.
He'd circle, he'd wait, never engaging with anybody, never stopping to talk to anybody, but just circling the area. It's almost like a shark circling in the water.
She's standing outside alone. The Chevy then does a U-turn about a block away and comes back around, and as he approaches where she's standing, pulls into the parking lot next to where she is.
Samantha looks towards him as if, oh, that's my ride.
He spent a lot of time in search of a victim, and he found somebody that, was vulnerable and obviously confused on, what car was her Uber ride, and took advantage of that.
She had been drinking that night, but she didn't look like she was in any kind of distress or anything. She willingly got in the vehicle because like she thought it was her Uber. Drives off, and that's the last time that, we could see her on any kind of video.
The darkened windows made it impossible to see what was happening inside. that the car was driving off in the wrong direction.
So it wouldn't have taken very long for her to recognize he was not driving in the direction of her apartment. He has the child lock on, so she cannot open the door, she cannot roll the windows down. They are on and locked.
Samantha's friends did not call the police until the next day.
They assumed that she had gone somewhere with a friend perhaps and went to bed for the night. When they awoke the next morning and saw that she still was not there, that's when they began to worry and attempted to try to find her. She worked in a local restaurant here in Columbia, and she was due to work that morning and never missed work, was never late for work.
Using a feature on her phone, Samantha's friends tracked where she had gone.
And at some point in time, her phone just stopped tracking.
Then the friends went back to the Bird Dog restaurant and got the surveillance video. Now, it was time to call
Yes,
the
I can braid Latino hair.
So it was like 10 hours after she'd been missing.
Well, this was more than a missing person, this was an abduction.
Samantha would call us or text us every day, and she hadn't done so that day.
I actually put out what we call a bolo, be on the lookout. We couldn't get a license plate. All we could get was that it was a black Impala. That was pretty much all we could get from the video.
Couldn't pinpoint the car owner at that point, but we could say it was a late model Chevy Impala, and we're able to at least narrow the search down a little bit from there.
Time was of the essence to find Samantha as new clues came in. Videos of the possible suspect.
He attempted to use her debit card or credit card multiple times at different banks. 2 times at a Wells Fargo that was in Sumter, South Carolina at an ATM, and 9 times actually at another location about 45 miles from that was actually in the Columbia area.
And then the staff at a Wendy's drive-thru reported they may have seen the suspect in his car, a white sheet covering the headrest and part of the back seat. There was no sign of Samantha Josephson.
So it was a complete panic. My heart dropped to my stomach. For whatever reason, I knew that I had to get down there.
Samantha's parents, Marcy and Seymour Josephson, headed to South Carolina from their home in New Jersey.
And I would say about maybe 4 hours into the ride, 5 hours into the ride, Officer Odom called me from the Columbia Police Department.
Oh, I'm in Phoenix,
And
right?
for the second time asked me, what's my ETA? It hung up the phone, and I just said, this is not good. I said, this is going to end really bad.
There had been an ominous report an hour and a half away from Columbia from the sheriff in the Clarendon County town of New Zion.
It is in the middle of nowhere. 2 hunters had been in the area, were looking for turkey, and just came upon her body.
She was covered in her own blood on her face, her arms, her legs, her feet. There were numerous wounds all over her body.
They called up to our department and requested a picture of her, which came off the video that she was last seen in. So she had all the same clothes that she was found in.
And when we got to the police department, they brought us into the conference room. They really couldn't identify her because of everything that had happened, how bad she was. And they said that we're very confident that this is your daughter.
And then the parents had to tell their other daughter, Sydney, still back in New Jersey.
Yeah. That was the hardest call I ever had to make. Was telling Sydney that her younger sister was dead. You know, broke our heart. But to hear her drop to the ground screaming and not being there for her hurts. Still does to this day.
When my brother was killed, I had to call my mama and tell her. That's the worst. Oh, that's the worst feeling ever. having to give that news, you know?
And how you gonna say it?
Exactly.
What they gonna say?
Exactly.
And there was a massive fear throughout the community and that we had a predator.
And the first thing you say is,
Literally, we're looking
before I tell you this, it's gonna be all right.
Right. I hear that.
What you mean it's gonna be all right?
You know, we had our foot on the accelerator and we didn't take it off until we were able to make an arrest.
That's something that doesn't really happen in our city. And I just watched that video of her getting that car easily 100 times prior to going to shift. I watched that car.
When Columbia police officer Jeffrey Kraft began his shift, he decided to patrol around the same 5 Points area where Samantha Josephson had disappeared.
And I just circulated that area for hours and hours and hours looking for that car matching the description. And then happened to find it within a couple blocks away from where the incident took place. It was like 2:30 in the morning.
And you still got the same
That was the last place I thought I would find him.
Still got the same car riding around.
A couple seconds to pull over, you see some movement going on in the car.
Officer Kraft did not know that Samantha's body had already been discovered.
I was hoping to find Samantha Josephson still inside the car. When I approached the car, of course, smoke odor of marijuana covered the car. And then approached him, and the seat was far back. You know, it was unusual.
What's going on, sir? You got a license? You got a license on you? I'm also credit. Call me police department K9. Oh, yes, sir. I got a license. No, license on you. Why not? All right. Who's smoking the marijuana?
You just smoked it right now. I smoked some earlier when I was at home, but the smoke coming out the window.
Here's the deal, man. I'll fold your car over to the matches the suspect. Get your hand in your pocket. What are you, crazy? Get over here. Get over here.
Oh.
Go.
Go. Go. And it's dark too.
Let's go.
Doors blocked, 500 blocks.
At least the camera do what the camera does. Slow.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones took off.
Yep.
He outran me. He was fast.
Tempo, go back to the car.
The rule of thumb, you really shouldn't leave the car. But, you know, my thought is, hey, that's where there's evidence inside the car.
And there was a female passenger in the front seat who should know the identity.
You really done for running, because they finna...
What's his name?
They finna haggle her to get your information.
The first clue to the suspect's identity.
Do a proper call search for
Well, she gave it up quick. She said, oh, that's Nate.
And while searching that vehicle, when I find a set of keys, I looked, had a pink keychain, which I thought was odd.
Whose car is this? His car? Does it usually have a pink keychain? It's a sister?
Looking for anything that might belong to Samantha, the missing person called an 81 in police jargon.
He ain't clean nothing.
And you know what kind of cell phone R81 has?
Chilled water.
You have what?
Chilled water.
I have only room temperature.
That's why I stopped it to match it.
It's right there.
I'm finding the girl's cell phone and the girl's keys in the driver's seat.
What?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Welcome.
Man, he found her phone and her keys. Dummy.
He said, I'm going to leave this in the back seat
Yeah, that's a
and go pick my girl up from work, which is crazy.
And the keys labeled room. It's kind of weird.
And then once we got in the back seat, another officer brought up to my attention saying,
Hey guys, thank you for joining.
Look at the back seat right here.
Just over here braiding.
and that's where like, hey, we got a major crime scene here, awful murder, scene of a murder. Let's back up and call our professional crime scene detectives.
I got him.
Stop it! It didn't take long to track down the driver.
Multiple officers came to the area, and they were able to secure him about 2 blocks away from the area where he ran, ultimately.
I'm ready to rush, sir, alright? His right remains silent. Anything you say can only be used against the court of law.
At that point, he wasn't really saying a whole lot. He wasn't even saying what his name was.
It's a yes or no answer.
Come on, man. Sit up. Yeah, I know you're tired after running. I get it. Sit up. Come on, man.
Do you understand the issues rights I've explained to you? Yes or no?
He claimed he had the flu, so the officers called EMTs to check him out and then take him in for questioning. Soon identified as Nathaniel Rowland, 24 years old.
He was reluctant to provide much information. Initially, he denied having been in 5 Points the night before. He indicated that he had been going to house parties the night before, but he could not provide any specific information about who he was with or what parties he was at or anything of that nature.
And Rowland denied having been anywhere near the town of New Zion, where Samantha's body had been discovered.
Investigators later found out that his parents actually still live and his family still lives in the New Zion area.
So New Zion is not a big town. It's a small place. It's not some place that you go to unless you're trying to get there. As you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, that was one of those pieces that was a major piece. That just, the place where she's found just happens to be a little, a mile as the crow flies from his family home.
But investigators were scratching their heads over why Rowland, if he was indeed the killer, would have driven right back into the 5 Points area, where police were looking for a black Chevy Impala.
Well, that's a great question for a psychiatrist, I guess. For us, better to be lucky than good sometimes, and it's a good thing for us that criminals often make bad decisions, poor decisions. Don't know what was going through his mind. I think God had his hand on us that day. There was certainly some divine intervention.
Good morning and welcome to the spring 2019 commencement at the University of South Carolina.
It had been only 6 weeks since Samantha was murdered.
Now I'd like to take a moment to recognize and honor the life and the legacy of Samantha Josephson, our cherished 21-year-old senior political science major whose life was tragically taken from us in March. Samantha's family is here with us today, and she'll receive her college degree posthumously directly after this ceremony.
Samantha's parents, Marcy and Seymour Josephson, had been hesitant to send their New Jersey daughter off to a school in the South.
We talk a lot about it because it's completely different than the Northeast. She's a female, she's Jewish.
But at least it seemed safer to them than the big cities of the Northeast.
Everybody was, very gracious and very nice upon meeting them. So yeah, it seemed safe.
We just really wanted her to be happy with whatever she did. She wanted law school, so we were behind her 100%. Just wanted her to be happy.
And her father had told Samantha to use his credit card to call Uber whenever she needed a ride home, to take no chances.
Especially at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I didn't want her walking.
But the surveillance video showed how it went wrong.
Because what the kids told us that they were doing, they would say, "Are you here for Samantha?" So if Samantha said that when she got in the car, he would have said yes, and then they would have taken off. If she said to the driver, or, what's my name, and he couldn't respond to it correctly, then she wouldn't get in the car.
But that is not what happened. And now the task for police and prosecutors was to prove that it was Nathaniel Rowland who was behind those windows, not someone who borrowed his car, as he claimed.
Well, the biggest weakness from the outset was that there was no evidence that put Mr. Rowland in the vehicle definitively at the time that Ms. Josephson was in the car. You could put him as the primary driver of the vehicle, but before and after, no one saw him get in or out of the vehicle. There was no camera or anything like that that showed his face inside the vehicle.
Nor was it clear whether he was the man trying to use Samantha's debit card at the different ATM machines.
He had a bandana around his head, and he also had the hoodie that he was wearing, he had black drawstrings. And he had on gloves as well. He pulled the drawstrings really tight so you could never see his face.
And the autopsy incident
Was your appointment at 11:30 or 12:30?
12:30.
Oh, okay, cool.
Test for DNA and no DNA that belonged
I was just making sure you knew. Got just text her. I'm like, where you at? Because I didn't know she was late. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. No worries.
Could find inside the black Chevy Impala. A footprint on the inside of one of the backseat windows. Evidence
Thank you.
of Samantha's struggles to get free.
They processed it for all manner of forensic evidence, fingerprints, DNA, hair, all those sorts of things. Any paperwork that's found in the car.
Including an eviction notice written by a female friend of Roland.
And ultimately that led investigators to a residence where Mr. Rowland had been spending time with a lady friend of his at the time.
Her name was Maria Howard, and she had met up with Roland the morning after Samantha disappeared.
As she's actually driving his car now and he's in the passenger seat, he begins trying to clean the car. He has rubber gloves that he puts on, he's wiping down part of the console, and she sees him grab this knife, or multi-tool as it's been referred to throughout the case, this double-bladed knife that has what appears to be blood on it. He's cleaning that off, and that really raised some suspicions for her. She asked him repeatedly about all of this, and he just told her to mind her own business repeatedly and wouldn't tell her anything else about what occurred.
Then they searched her home, looking for physical evidence to corroborate her story.
And it was in the garbage outside, and where they located a number of valuable items of evidence, to include the knife wrapped up in plastic grocery bags. There was wipes that had been used, paper towels, clothes of his, the clothes that she had seen him wearing for the last couple of days, covered in blood.
And this black leather jacket.
If you look on the black jacket, there are striations that look like nails being drugged down the jacket. And so that would be that she scratched the jacket and trying to scratch him. They find a ton of the evidence, and all of this is in her trash. None of it's like hidden around her house really. It's all either hidden or in the trash. And so they're able to collect all of that. When they look in his car and they see that eviction letter, if they'd have just ignored it, the trash people would have picked up the trash and all that evidence would have been gone.
And Maria Howard's account also helped to explain the surveillance video from Wendy's, a white sheet visible over the headrest.
And this is extremely important because you can see Nathaniel Rowland in the driver's seat at the Wendy's drive-thru the morning to afternoon after this happened. And this is crucial because it corroborates what Maria said, that she got into the car and she noticed that there was a sheet draped over the back seat. And that was to cover up essentially the evidence, the blood that came from Samantha Josephson.
So the prosecution knew, as it prepared for trial, that much would depend on Maria Howard's decision to turn on and turn against her friend, Nathaniel Rowland.
It was their son. She didn't want any part of this. She had nothing to do with it.
Oh, I have a piece that's around my neck, and I have the phone on it. And it's like a mount. It has a magnet on it. So I have a magnet case on my phone. And it just sits up. And then I can record and do this with both hands. And you get the perfect view. It's on Amazon, guys.
We'll proceed now to opening statement. From the state.
Solicitor Byron Gibson opened the case to the prosecution.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, March 28th, 2019 was supposed to be a celebration. Samantha
It does get kind of heavy though, so I'm gonna see how long I can be on here with it. Kind of make your neck hurt a little bit.
Is that the defendant, Nathaniel David Rowland?
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. I use it when I'm recording videos and like to get up close shots, like for tutorials and stuff on my page.
That anybody saw her.
makes it super
But the
easy.
prosecutor knew the jurors
And
would
like,
soon
if
hear
it's
from the
heavy for
defense
you, you can
about the
just
lack of
like,
DNA
you know, do
evidence
small
anywhere on
clips
Samantha's body
and then
that tied
put it
Roland to the
together
crime.
later. But I was like, well, let me go live and see how this would work. Be a good view, you know?
Is that Nathaniel David Rowland
Up close, personal.
We believe that the simple explanation is that Nathaniel David Rowland murdered Samantha Joseph. After you hear all of the evidence in this case, we'll be asking that you return the verdict of guilty of all counts because he is indeed guilty.
I'm new to YouTube, so I'm still learning, you know. It's a learning curve.
Alicia Good,
But
the public
it's going
defender's
well.
office,
Thank you guys
presented
for your
the
support.
defense opening statement.
0. That's the amount of DNA on Samantha Josephson's body that matches Nathaniel Rowland. 0. It's not on her clothing. It's not under her ripped and torn fingernails. It's not on her ankles. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 0 evidence that Nathaniel Rowland was the one that kidnapped and killed Samantha Josephson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They would now call Maria Howard.
She was crucial to the case. They had to hear from somebody other than cops and analysts. They needed to hear from somebody who had spent some time with Mr. Rowland.
Roland's girlfriend described how she first wondered what happened to the visor she needed for her work. It was missing from the Chevy Impala.
Did you ask him about that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he tell you?
That it was in the country.
But what did you say to that?
Why would it be in the country?
And what did he tell you?
It had blood on it.
I'm gonna need you to repeat that.
It had blood on it.
He told you that the visor had blood on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask him? What did you ask him?
Why would that have blood on it?
And what did he tell you? You tell me.
Mind my business.
Mind your business. Did you ask him again?
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
Mind my business.
And what, if anything, did you notice about the car at that point?
That it was like
Mind your business. Ain't it her car?
Where in the car?
on the dashboard and beside the seat.
And where else did you see blood?
In the back seat.
In the back seat. Was anything else in the back seat?
It was a sheet over the back seat and the back of the driver's seat.
Matching the video of the car at the Wendy's drive-thru.
These are just small things, small details that corroborate previous testimony that are extremely
Thank you. I'm not so young though, but been doing this 20 plus years. But thank you.
What is that?
It was the thing that he was cleaning.
The knife that had both his and Samantha's DNA on it.
When you saw his car, I believe you said earlier you saw his car at some point on the news.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe you said you put 2 and 2 together.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you again explain to the jury why you didn't call the police then?
Because I was scared.
Scared of what?
For my life and my child.
No further questions, Your Honor.
She had to come in and testify about what was probably the most horrendous 2 days of her life. And she did it.
She paid the price then afterwards of having death threats and being put into bad situations, losing her job because she couldn't go back to work because of the death threats.
We owe a lot to her for testifying.
Prosecution had played long stretches of the surveillance video showing the black Chevy Impala that night, but it was impossible to see who the driver was.
They called Oscar Williams.
He swear or affirm that this was the true culture
But now detectives had turned up a witness, Oscar Williams, who ran a cell phone repair shop. His store's cameras showed a man who had tried to sell Samantha's cell phone the morning after she disappeared.
Do you see the person who tried to sell you the phone in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is he? What does he have on?
I'm trying to sell her phone.
Please let the record reflect that he has identified the...
What are they gonna do with the phone? It's locked.
Thank you. No further questions.
Well, they can unlock it.
Oh, right, and it's a pawn shop, huh?
Yeah.
They probably
And he went to a
just.
cell phone place.
The
Right?
final
Oh,
days of the
okay.
trial focused
You know,
on
you
the
said
physical
previous
evidence.
use cell phones and
Says
stuff like that.
Exhibit 186, the bra.
Bra?
There were times where I had to put my head down
Yep.
because I didn't want to see certain things that they were showing. We had in our mind what had happened,
Hi.
but it was a lot worse. Going through the trial was very difficult, definitely.
So this is the left shoe. This strap is still intact, however, it was not attached to the front of her left foot.
Made it 110% worse because of all the information and how brutal it was.
But on cross-examination, the crime scene investigator was asked about the photo she took of Roland after his arrest. Was there any evidence he had been involved in a violent struggle?
You don't see anything on him, right?
In what terms?
On his face, as far as scratches?
As far as scratches, no, I do not.
You don't see any marks?
I do not see any marks on his
Cuts?
face. I do not see cuts on his face.
Same thing with the arms,
Same thing.
both sides,
Correct.
and his hands, both
Yeah.
sides.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
The defense had made its most important point, and Nathaniel Roland's lawyers decided they did not need to call any of their own witnesses, did not need to put on their own case.
Good morning. You have heard all of the evidence. It's now time for closing arguments. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, 21-year-old Samantha Josephson did not deserve this. Samantha Josephson's blood
21.
was on everything. It was all over that car, the back seats, the headrests, and let's not forget that her blood was on the way to this wedding. The one that he was seen cleaning in the car. Samantha Josephson's footprints were on the window in Nathaniel Roland's Impala. The inside. This was her cry for help. This was her way to try to get somebody to help her and save her from him. But also, what it did, she left a trail. She left her own trail of evidence. Her own trail leading right to the defendant. I told you before, Samantha's whole life was right there. It was right there in front of her. She could have been anything that she wanted to be. And it was right there for the taking. To do whatever she wanted. The defendant did the taking. He took her from 5 points. He took her life.
Good morning.
Roland's lawyer, Tracy Pinnock, pointed to the lack of evidence.
Nathaniel Roland did not have a mark on him. Not a cut, not a bruise. They checked him, and nothing. Now how, in the backseat of the car, in the dark, with a young woman who is fighting for her life, somebody is supposed to hold this tool with a blade literally pointed in their direction and not injure themselves in some way? How somebody does that is beyond me. It's this long when it's together. You don't look. Okay. Look at it. Wildly swinging, wildly stabbing, and whatever rage is going on, and there's not a cut on it? How do you accomplish that? With this. She put up a fight, and Nathaniel Roland had not a mark on him. That is what we know. They've created a narrative, and he's the villain in their narrative. Because for them, he is the easy answer. He is the simple answer. In this case, it's the wrong answer. It is the wrong answer. The state has not proven that Nathaniel Rowland kidnapped Samantha Josephson. They have not proven that he has killed her, and they have not proven that he had a weapon during those crimes. What they proved is that he tried self-assault. He's not on trial for that. They have failed at meeting their burden. I ask that you find him not guilty. Thank you.
The jury came back after 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Have you reached a verdict? Is it unanimous? Okay, if you will pass it up, please, and you may be seated. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdicts.
Said South Carolina versus Nathaniel Rowland is an indictment for murder. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
The court moved immediately to the sentencing phase, and Samantha's parents and her older sister Sydney finally had the opportunity to voice their anguish.
Nothing will replace her, nothing I can say will break her back, and nothing that I can say I know will ease my family's pain and heartache.
No time to say goodbye. No time to tell Sammy all the things I would have wanted to say. No time because it's her cover up. We were thrown into this world of terror. My world is now complete. Nothing but
Hey Tiffany, I'm in Phoenix.
He is pure evil. I pray that he feels Samantha's pain.
But the prosecution had already decided not to seek the death penalty for Rowland, and the family reluctantly agreed.
I fought for it up to the last month. I wanted the death penalty. I wanted him executed.
Do I tell you that I've contemplated suicide? Several times over the past 28 months.
I did stop a couple of times to look at him and to make sure that he knew that I was talking about him.
Neither mother has stolen this bright light.
Oh wow, it's cold out there, huh? It is 60 degrees here. It's gonna be a high of 65 today. So, pretty nice, decent. I'm going to see Cat Williams tonight in Phoenix downtown. So, kind of thinking about what I'm going to wear because it's going to be a little chilly. It's be about 36 at night. So, you got any ideas?
Thank you, Norm. The state had accused our son of a crime that he didn't commit.
Now, I'm not going to hear
All right.
any claim of innocence.
Okay.
He's been convicted by the jury.
There go my Jamba Juice. Yes.
I know my son didn't do it.
He is guilty of murder. And if you had any testimony that you wanted to give for the jury to consider, the trial was the time to do that. I'm not listening to any claim of what he did not do. You are not a witness.
Hi. You can sit it on the counter for me. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. If the defendant will come
You too.
before the court for sentencing. Is there anything you would like to say? Your Honor, I know I'm innocent. But I guess what I know and what I think really doesn't matter. I just wish the state would have.
Oh, okay.
Would have done more.
Yeah, when it's real cold like that,
who
it
the
do be
actual
hard to
person
get
was.
dressed. You be feeling
Instead of being
like the weather
satisfied
kind of gloomy and stuff.
with detaining me and proving my guilt. I feel like if they would have done further research in certain areas, that's what I have dealt with the heartless, and you fall into that category. A person without any remorse whatsoever, and for whomever asked me for leniency, and that's not part of my DNA. The sentence in this case is easy. No painful.
They last like 2 to 3 months. They're traditional box braids. They're not knotless, so it lasts a little bit longer. As long as it's taken care of, you know.
They removed Mr. Rose from the courtroom.
Since then, the Josephsons have launched a campaign so that what
My
happened
clients
to Samantha
usually
when
come
she
back for a
got in the
touch up
wrong
to
car
like
that night
in 6
does not
weeks. So
happen
like
to
6
anyone else.
weeks, touch up, and
If she
then
said to the driver,
get
you know,
it
what's my name?
redone in
Couldn't
like
respond
3
to it
months
correctly, then
total,
she wouldn't get in the car.
something like
Once
that.
you're in the car, it's too late. We started the What's My Name Foundation.
Hoping their daughter's legacy will be one that saves lives.
Class of 2019, on the count of 3, would you join me in repeating, what's my name? My name is Samantha Josephson. All together. 1, 2, 3. What's my name? My name is Samantha Josephson. Thank you, everybody.
You can if you want to. It's human hair, so if you want to wash it, I would say if you do use like a leave-in conditioner to like keep the frizz down, and then tie it up, you know, right away. Maybe even use a diffuser blow dryer to blow dry the curly hair to keep it like, you know, from getting like big or frizzy and stuff.
Over the last few days, there is still no sign of that missing woman.
So definitely you can, because we wash our normal box braids, so you know, I don't see why not.
As soon as Molly is safely home.
We knew she was jogging. We knew she was abducted on the jog.
They had seen a figure that looked like a runner about the time and in the area where Molly would have been running on the night she disappeared.
A black Chevy Malibu appeared to be.
Oh, you said every day. My bad. No, not every day. I don't wash your hair every day. Who does that?
Authorities have arrested a man for the murder of missing University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts.
Well, we don't wash our hair every day anyways. So.
From you for 11 plus
like
hours.
weekly.
Isn't that right? Yes.
She comes out at one point and says, "This is definitely your killer."
And that's a stretch.
I'm
For
stuck
real,
here,
for
guys.
real.
I'm gonna need some help.
You're up right now. You're big time.
Who better to pick than an undocumented immigrant, doesn't speak the language?
You staff Molly Tibbetts. Isn't that right?
This is what it's going to come. What happened in that situation?
And I grabbed the gun.
I know the first place to put a body. No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything? Leave the jury to find the defendant.
I understand that, Miss Vivian. Phoenix, Arizona. I have my own shop. Yeah, actually, I have a short. If you go in my YouTube shorts, I have a video of me doing this style on myself. It's actually my last short that I uploaded yesterday. So take a look at that. But yeah, you could do it on yourself. I would do all the box braids first and then go in and add your human hair pieces, so that way you're doing like one thing at a time and it'll make you faster, you know. But it does take a while though on yourself. You might be there a couple days.
This was something huge that was happening, and it could potentially happen to me.
It has been 4 days since Molly Tibbetts disappeared. Despite search efforts over the last few days, there is still no sign of that missing woman.
We believe that Molly is still alive, and if someone has abducted her, we are pleading with you to please release her.
Everybody has a Molly in their life, person that has affected her.
Thank you.
That she affected everybody standing up here right now. And imagine if this was you, somebody had taken your Molly. When you want to help, when you want her back, how would you feel?
One of my most common styles.
Let her go.
A lot of people like my knotless braids, but a lot of my clients love my traditional box braids because they don't look, you know, like not big knots or anything like that. So, and they last them a long time. And some people just don't have the hair texture for knotless, or they just don't last for them, you know. So this is a great option for them. And I love doing it. It's definitely my purpose.
University of Iowa. She was majoring in child psychology.
She was very loved on campus. She was probably one of the nicest humans that anybody had ever met. Nobody had a bad thing to say about her.
She doesn't fit our normal victim profile. It kind of gives you the hairs on your back kind of stand up when you suddenly realize, oh my goodness, you know, did something really terrible happen here.
So authorities swarmed the town of Brooklyn, Iowa.
I think it's roughly 14 or 1,500 people. People still leave their doors unlocked.
And began to retrace Molly's steps before she disappeared. Starting at the home of her boyfriend, where she had been staying.
That evening, on the 18th of July, she went for a run right around 7:30, 7:45 in the evening.
She was an avid runner.
Friend, would you do me a favor? Will you grab my Jamba Juice up there on the counter? Thank you.
Didn't come back.
She would have left home, run through town, and then gone on a black top.
I'm doing traditional box braids, boho.
Which was one of her normal running routes. She was
And hi.
With her
Thank you so much.
And when that contact suddenly ceased, and there's no contact, the proverbial hand on the panic button was pressed. Picked up the phone and called the FBI because I was assuming we had an adult abduction, which in Iowa and I think even nationwide are incredibly rare.
The FBI brought in drones to scour the acres and acres of cornfields around the town.
What the FBI is doing right now is trying to prioritize leads.
And for 4 or 5 weeks, all those leads came up empty, and we really had nothing at that point in time.
We knew she was jogging. We knew she was abducted on the jog, but we didn't no witnesses to the abduction, no cameras, video of the abduction.
But investigators then realized that Molly never went anywhere without her cell phone, even on her runs, and they were able to get her password.
It's amazing how simple things kind of escape us sometimes. So we just went to Walmart, bought an iPhone, entered her password, and we literally cloned her phone. So we had all that data.
And a way to track Molly's jogging route along County Road 385.
And so she's going at a speed of less than 10 miles an hour up until a point. Her phone stops for a couple minutes, and then you can see with the next pings at the cell phone tower that she's traveling at approximately 60 miles an hour. It told me that she's in a vehicle, that she was jogging, there was a pause in her movement, and then she's in a vehicle.
Which actually took us close to a location of abduction.
There's always the hope that you'll find the person alive. But as hours become days, become weeks, you know, the hope that she'll be found alive becomes, you know, less and less.
Every day I feel Molly's presence with me. You know, sometimes I just feel her sitting on my shoulder. Molly's lending me her strength. every day, every night. And yes, I have my moments of complete meltdowns, but it is through this strength that is somehow, and I don't know how, being bestowed upon me, that I am able to get through every morning, every noon, every night.
We spin our wheels. We spin our wheels for several weeks. We developed suspects that none of us really felt good about. We, but because of the resources we had, we literally ran the leads into the ground. Doing background on Molly, she was telling all her family members she was going to marry Dalton. She knew he was about to propose.
Every investigation involving a disappearance or a homicide, officers are going to start with the inner circle of the victim and move their way out. Was Dalton Jack a suspect? Yes, he was.
But text messages between Dalton and Molly suggested not everything was happy.
There was some allegations that Dalton had a brief relationship with another young woman, but ultimately Molly had forgiven Dalton for whatever had been going on.
And detectives were able to determine that Dalton had been 2 hours away in Dubuque at the time she was abducted.
He was working construction on a road crew, fixing a bridge at that time over the Mississippi River, where it would have been physically impossible for him to be in Brooklyn, so he was ruled out fairly quickly.
So it was back to the area, all along County Road 385.
Sometimes we were kind of chasing our tails, looking in the wrong direction. But then the canvassing never stopped.
They found a video from a resident who actually had 4 different cameras on his house and garage that when some of the investigators were reviewing this footage, they had seen a figure that looked like a runner about the time and in the area where Molly would have been running on the night she disappeared.
Just a glimpse, but an important one.
So the investigators, they began to look at all of the cameras and noticed a black Chevy Malibu that appeared to be circling the area just after Molly had dropped through that same area.
Going one way, then another, and then back again, all within a few minutes of Molly passing by.
So that really became the focus of
That's my logo, guys. Big sticker on the wall. That's me back in 2014 when I started my LLC.
These are non-factory mirrors.
And I got my logo made, my picture in it.
But how on God's green earth are we going to
Because I am fancy.
find that car?
But the very next day, the car was spotted by an off-duty sheriff's deputy on his way home.
Lo and behold, the Malibu's coming right at him. And he calls me and says, "Hey, Trent, that car we're looking for, I'm behind it now. What do you want me to do?" Just follow him home and say, "Hey, we're just looking for Molly. Have you guys seen or heard anything?"
His name was Christian Bahena Rivera, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico, working on a large Iowa corporate farm. He said he spoke no English.
Oh, thank you.
So I scrambled and I had to find a Spanish speaker. We were at the point where everybody was shutting down. We just thought we weren't never going to find her. So everybody was gone. Most of the FBI was gone.
The nearest bilingual officer he could find was Pamela Romero from the Iowa City Police Department.
She was older for a new cop, so she had some good life experience, but very limited experience in those types of interviews. So she would take a lot of breaks and we would feed her questions and she would keep us updated. But we literally put a rookie cop in one of the biggest interviews probably in the history of the state, and it was a gut call. It was a total gut call.
The interview began around 6 in the evening. It would go on for more than 11 hours.
He really didn't give us much. He didn't say he knew Molly. Said he had very little knowledge that she was even missing. Wasn't going to be helpful. He didn't just know anything. So we made the decision, well, what we'll do then is we'll show him a picture of his car right by Molly. Basically, the still photo of her jogging and his car, then a minute later driving behind her.
Okay.
Once we gave him that, then he's like, oh yes, now I remember who that is.
Of course he
It
does
was a
now.
constant evolution. He kept, what's very chilling was he actually said, oh yeah, by the way, I have her missing persons poster in my house. Which is your killer's trophy, right? That's when you know you got the right person.
But as the day turned to night, Agent Valletta still could not find a way to break it.
We kind of thought we were going to be done, or he was done talking to us, about to a point where he said he saw her, he thought she was hot, he turned around to look at her again, and then he couldn't find her, and then he left. That's kind of where we thought we were going to be done.
Hey, and I ended up going over to you.
The only card we had to play was the immigration status. I put him on the phone with ICE, and we Mirandized him and just said, you're no longer free to go because of your immigration status. While he's on the phone, we are back to panic mode. What do we do now? How do we figure out where Molly is? Because he's probably not going to talk anymore. That's when Pamela Romero comes up to us and says, hey, can I have one more shot? Can I have one more shot with this guy? He likes me, let me talk to him. So she goes back in. Everything changes.
It was now well past midnight at the sheriff's office in Montezuma, Iowa, and the interrogation of Christian Bahena Rivera was at a standstill.
There was, more than one occasion where he would kind of slump down in his chair, pull his hat down over his eyes, and appear to rest.
Officer Romero was in and out of the room, getting advice from lead investigator Trent Valletta.
She comes out at one point and says, this is definitely your killer, but I'm stuck here, guys. I'm gonna need some help.
Hey, Christian.
And it was your old school good cop, bad cop scene.
How are you feeling?
Lead investigator Trent Valletta and FBI agent Nick Potritz were going to turn up the heat.
Oh, and I understand that you're trying.
They just
And because you have a bad problem.
Bahena Rivera had claimed he had a condition that caused him to black out and could not remember what happened to Molly.
I think it's the easy way out for people not trying to talk about how much of a monster they are. It's kind of a standard excuse for bad behavior. And so that's what Rivera says.
I'm trying to remember, but I'm trying for the memories to come back, to come out, but I know I'm in trouble.
No, I haven't.
And if I know something,
I haven't done that. I'm very careful when it comes to scissors and people's hair and the braid. I don't want to redo, something I've already done. So I'm very careful when I pick up them scissors.
She's going to talk, but look at me, okay? It could be true that you don't remember everything. Do you understand that? Okay, but you do remember.
But I have braided on a pandemic mask. Got done with their hair. They went and got in their car and could not take their mask off because it was braided in. So I had to take them down and redo it. It was just a couple braids by the ear.
But you're afraid to tell. And that's okay. And it's okay to tell her.
I'm being nice to Rivera, very nice. I'm literally holding his hands, talking about integrity and how do you want to be perceived.
We have been around a long time. We're old. We're old. And we have sat across people that we don't like because they lie to us.
Oh, thank
Then we can
you.
work together
I appreciate you so much.
to
I'm
make
new
sure
to
that
this,
they get
so
their daughter.
I'm just
We'll
stepping
be
out on
looking
faith,
for her.
friend.
If that girl was in the car. What happened junto a ella?
Yes, like I mentioned to you already, I only remember her driving, running, but I do not remember her talking with her.
And then we basically had it set up that if he kept denying, Nick was just gonna yell at him to stop playing games.
You are f***ing up right now. You are f***ing up big time. Stop f***ing up. Tell us the truth. He's getting mad at you. I'm getting close to getting back. Christian, I can see in your eyes
Lo puedo mirar,
that there's something you're hiding from us.
que tú lo estás ocultando.
I can tell.
Lo podemos mirar.
Then you know I'm right.
Estás right, que tenemos razón.
And it's really hard to tell me.
Sé que es difícil decirlo.
Because it's something you really wish never happened. But it's kind of all we have to let go.
Pero ya es tiempo.
You have to tell us what happened.
The good cop, bad cop routine seemed to have worked.
He wants to put you down. I'm asking him, you're not gonna lie to me?
He answers, I'm going to tell you everything I know.
You're gonna tell me all
This is really looking good, guys. One of my favorite styles to do.
The right thing, okay?
Haz las cosas bien.
The right thing.
Porque yo no quiero que ustedes se enojen.
He tells her, because I don't want them to come back.
But he basically said, look, I can't tell you guys, but I'll tell her, which means he wanted to tell Pamela. So we left, and then the story evolved again.
And then the two of them alone, speaking in Spanish. I do remember that I was fighting with her. I remember that I brought her into my car. She had blood. I remember that we were in court. I remember that's where I put her.
I would certainly characterize it as a confession that he had been the one and only person responsible for Molly Tibbetts' death. And they now had the Christian Rivera telling him that, yes, I can take you to her.
Yeah, we're about at 4:35 in the morning at that point. I remember just being covered in mud, crawling through these Iowa cornfields, and Rivera actually pointed out exactly where she's at.
She's covered in corn stalks. The thing that is the characteristic that stands out is she had very colorful running shoes, and those were visible.
Her clothes scattered about, the position of the badly decomposed body, indicating there had been a sexual assault.
Authorities have arrested a man for the murder of missing University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts.
24-year-old Christian Rivera faces a first-degree murder charge.
He had led them to Molly's body. Her blood and DNA were found in the trunk of his car. And he had essentially confessed. The case seemed ironclad until prosecutors learned there was a problem with the Miranda warning given to Bahena Rivera during the interrogation. Nothing on this tape could be used at trial.
What? A waste of time, man.
Remain silent.
Opening statements in this monumental case. There are a lot of eyeballs on what is happening right now. This is a number of difficult issues, particularly about the undocumented immigrant issue.
And that issue had brought even more attention to the case, as politicians across the country had used Christian Bahena Rivera's undocumented immigration status as a campaign talking point.
You heard about today with the illegal alien coming in, very sadly, from Mexico.
Did not help our case, no. From our perspective, that was something
Oh,
that
thank
was
you
somewhat
so
out of
much. I
minefield
really
and
appreciate
not
you.
in any way a benefit to us.
I love true crime, so that's what I'm always watching with my clients. unless it's somebody that really don't like it, then, you know, I'll watch something funny. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I did a video last week, and I was watching Chicago Med, and I didn't know that I can get copyrighted for it. So I was just taking a chance today, but it hasn't said anything, so I think we're all good. And I definitely am just focused on staying consistent, staying prayed up, living right. I've been abstinent now for 6 months. So I've just been focused on me and healing and everything. I lost my mom a few years back, and, you know, just bouncing back and, you know, just focusing on my purpose and my vision and going from there, you know, and helping people. And that's what I really want to do. So that's where we're at with it.
When you examine this evidence together, there can be
And I know
no
that
other
eventually it will all
than that the
pay
defendant
off.
killed Molly
But as long
Tibbetts.
as I'm straight, you know, that's all I care about.
Does the defense elect to give their opening at this
I
time?
don't need extra or,
By the
you know,
husband and
I'm
wife,
not trying to be
Jan
rich or
and Jennifer
whatever. I mean,
Freeman.
if it came with it, cool. I can help other people, but if not,
So
I am
straight to the state's case.
cool with,
Day one, the
you
prosecution
know,
called
just
Molly's boyfriend,
living
Dolphin
good
Jack.
and
He
being
said to
happy.
deal with his
That's all.
heartbreak, he had enlisted
Being
in
happy
the
within
army.
myself and what I'm doing. So thank you so much for the encouragement. I appreciate you.
How would you describe Molly's personality? She was always happy, bubbly, goofy. Just like to have fun, pretty much, I guess.
Now the prosecution needed to establish Dalton's alibi, that he was in Dubuque.
What did you do whenever you got back to the hotel in Dubuque on July 18th around 6 p.m.? Just drank beers with the guys and hung out? Okay. Did you come back to Brooklyn for any reason? No. The next day, so Thursday, let's move to that, July 19th. Did you send Molly a message in the morning? Yes, I sent her the same good morning message that I always send her. And what is that good morning message? Good morning, beautiful. Like a kissy face or something like that. Okay. Did you receive any response from her? No.
But on cross-examination, the defense strategy became clear. Dalton was a young man with dark secrets.
You also told officers on that same interview,
You know,
information that you withheld before, right?
do what you gotta do.
And the information that you withheld before was that
Make
you
that
had a
time go
relationship
back.
with a woman other than Molly, right? What did you tell officers the reason you withheld that information?
I didn't deem it necessary.
You didn't deem it necessary.
I didn't think that it was pertinent to the case.
So you didn't think it was pertinent to tell law enforcement officers that you having an affair on your true love was not pertinent to the case, right?
I was 19 years old.
Explain to me what you mean by that.
I was 19 years old. It was the beginning of the relationship, and I screwed up one time. Molly knew about it, and we got past it.
Let's talk about you, young man. You consider yourself to have a temper?
Not anymore.
You did though at one time?
Yes.
Pretty angry young man?
When I was about 17, 16, yes.
Tell me about the temper of the 16, 17-year-old Dalton Jack.
It was not good. It was short fuse.
Hey, Candy.
Like to fight?
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to poke the bear, so to speak. They were trying to get him irritated and to show that, you know, it's possible that Dalton was the killer.
Around the time that Molly was abducted or died, you told her a number of times.
That sounds cute. Thank
you.
you.
Thought she was depressed, right? So things weren't all rosy between you and Molly.
Oh, it's a holder that goes around my neck. It's a holder that goes around my neck. It has a magnet on it, and my phone case has a magnet on it. And basically, it just sits up. It does make your neck kind of hurt a little bit after a while, but this is my first time trying it out on the live, and it's going pretty good. So I think I could do this often. But yeah, it gives you like that first-hand look. Oh, Candace, that door is open. That's why he had popped out. He had came out, went back in. I'm talking about my dog, Icy. He here. You see him? There go the dog, Frenchie. His little bad butt.
He stated at one point that he thought that she was hot.
And she described how Bahena Rivera later took her and other officers to this cornfield and pointed to the location of Molly's body.
He remembers that there was blood.
Oh, thank you.
He told me that he took
That's
her
good to
out of the
hear. A
car,
lot of people do say that though.
put her on top of his
That my voice is
shoulder,
relaxing
carried her
and all of that.
inside
That's
into
why I
the
ended up
cornfield,
starting a podcast,
laying her down, covering
reviewing
her
books
with
and stuff.
corn leaves,
So
and
I would
leaving
love
her
to do
alone.
voiceovers too. I think that would be really cool and fun. So
His answer was,
I'm gonna look
I
into
brought
that.
it, didn't I? So that means that I did it. I don't remember how I did it.
Pamela Romero, our officer, I mean.
When I used to work at USAA, they used to call me the smooth operator because my voice is so soft and I can get anybody to buy auto insurance.
Their client appearing to be asleep.
He fell asleep multiple times during breaks of this interview, isn't that right? According to the this man,
Hey, Icy, how you get out? Where he at? Oh. Oh.
and then he's brought in and he is questioned on and on.
Oh, did we bring him food?
Okay.
Okay. You did? Well, did he eat before you left the house? If he did, he might be good till later, you know?
Yeah, I did feed him. That's not the way that I took it. Now, ma'am, you testified that you don't know anything about a false confession, is that right? Yes. You don't know what the definition of a false confession is? No, I do not. You don't understand that concept whatsoever? No, not at the moment, I do not.
Having planted the seeds of doubt about a possible false confession, raising questions about Molly's boyfriend Dalton, the defense was now...
Candace, you want to say hi to my live? Say hi. This is my daughter. The one that do all my hair.
In Iowa, the man accused of killing Molly Tibbetts.
Defense calls Christian Bahena Rivera.
The prosecution finished their case yesterday, and today the defense began their case.
And the defense called Molly Tibbetts' boyfriend, Dalton Jack, back to the stand for another effort to imply he might have been the killer.
At any point in the 12 months before Molly disappeared, did you ever tell her that you realized you were clinically insane?
I don't remember that at all either.
Did you mention to Molly that you have temper?
I don't remember.
So he showed Dalton text messages he had sent to Molly saying just that.
You recall on October 30, 2017, you and Molly's relationship kind of hit a real cross there.
I don't recall that either.
That's what she told you she was moving in with friends.
And then, yeah, I remember.
And that upset you. Yes, it did. You told her you were angry about that.
Yes.
She was ditching you.
Yes.
You don't recall telling Molly that you had a temper?
No.
You don't recall saying that?
room down the hall from Brenda with her own story to tell.
We kind of had a game of cat and mouse going.
Sorry, guys, I had a phone
We are
call.
looking for new details this morning in the murder that has shaken the Dallas community.
This murder has really rocked their sense of security.
But I'm back.
No word on who the suspect or suspects may be.
Detectives have been out all night.
How are y'all
throughout
doing
today,
on this
canvassing
Friday?
businesses in the area, looking for additional evidence, surveillance footage, what have you, and talking with residents, talking with potential witnesses.
And now at the Dallas Police Headquarters, a kind of Texas two-step was underway. In interrogation room number 2, Brenda Delgado, wrapping herself in blankets in the air-conditioned room with an airtight alibi and claiming total ignorance of what happened. Down the hall, in interrogation room number 4, a woman named Crystal Cortez, a friend of Brenda's, and a challenge for Detective Eric Barnes.
Her stories were all over the place, and she's a pathological liar.
But Crystal Cortez readily admitted being the driver of the Jeep Cherokee tied to the murder scene.
She gave me 3 or 4 different stories about where she was at, how she ended up in the parking garage, what happened once she got in the parking garage.
Her first version was that a masked man forced her to do it.
The guy gets in my seat. He puts it in my son's in the back. My son is in the back. My instinct, and I'm just shocked and nervous as anybody else.
You know, that sounded like something out of a Hollywood script, and murders just don't happen like that. So one of the things we used to kind of defeat that story was the surveillance footage.
The footage showing she made no effort to take off once the gunman left the car.
One of the last stories that she told me was that Brenda hired her to go to this parking garage, and she wanted Kendra Hatcher's purse, and specifically her ID card.
All for just $500 and some drugs, according to Crystal.
And now I have money exchange for a robbery that took place, and the shooter is in the car, so now we have a capital murder. I had enough to put Crystal in jail today.
On the floor of the Georgia legislature.
I was an N lover. You know what the N stands for.
Mary Welcome agreed when Justice Smith wrote the defense attorneys were ineffective.
We were rendered ineffective. We were rendered incompetent because of the lack of funds, lack of time, and lack of resources. Absolutely.
Things did go wrong in the trial that should not have. An ambulance driver suggested an explosive motive for Wayne Williams. This from CNN's report at the time.
Bobby Tolan said Williams asked him once, had he ever considered how many blacks could be eliminated by killing one nigger child?
But unknown to either side, Tolan was not his real name. In fact, he had a criminal record.
He testified under a false name, had an extensive arrest record under his real name. I'm not sure that we knew all of that at the time, or it was disclosed to us.
Rogers' home is but 8 blocks away from where he was found today.
Then there was the murder of Larry Rogers, a retarded youth. This witness testified she saw Rogers slumped over in a station wagon as Wayne Williams drove away. But another person also saw Rogers in that station wagon at that same intersection that day. He helped a police artist draw this sketch. It does not look like Wayne Williams. However, the defense never called the other witness to ask about the sketch.
No, I don't even remember seeing it.
Supporters of Wayne Williams say there was one murder which shows the fiber evidence could be faulty. The death of 12-year-old Clifford Jones, left by a dumpster in an alley on a summer night in 1980. Some of those unusual green carpet fibers were on his body. Yet another boy said he saw a coin laundry operator kill Clifford Jones. Detective Welcome Harris said the boy was not believable.
He exaggerated stuff. In other words, he was open to suggestions. And if you said that Mickey Mouse was up there, And he sensed that you wanted him to say that. He said, yeah.
Wayne supporters point out the laundry manager failed 2 police lie detector tests, but few are aware of a third test given by the FBI examiner, Richard Ratcliffe. The result?
In layman's terms, he passed. He wasn't involved in killing Jones.
Only days after Wayne Williams was convicted of killing 2 adults, Atlanta's police commissioner closed the books on 21 other murder victims, declaring they too were killed by Williams. Most were children, among them Clifford Jones and Yusef Bell. But without trials, the mothers were left without a verdict, one way or the other, in the deaths of all of the children. Camille Bell.
Even if it takes 30 trials, I don't care, prove it.
The prosecutor's answer, it would serve no purpose.
You can only serve one life sentence.
He's got his cell phone clutched in his hand.
A man ambushed and murdered in his car.
Man, it's all right to cry.
Tulsa detectives delve into a seedy underworld.
You're gonna tell me some truth.
To lure a killer.
I still have the upset stomach that comes with these.
And the clock is ticking. For homicide detectives, their chance of solving a murder is cut in half if they don't get a lead within the first 48 hours.
First 48?
Tulsa, Oklahoma. A vibrant city in the middle of the heartland.
When I came here, I mentioned that I was going to see people on horseback, but we've got everything that any other major city would have, including crime.
He was actually standing in the doorway when he got hit.
Tulsa has 10 investigators working an average of 60 murders per year.
Hope we don't find somebody else in here. I think the way we attack a murder is a little bit different than most other cities. If we develop a suspect, we don't sleep till we get him.
The police department and the unit solve rate is 89%, 30% higher than a national average.
Everybody has their own individual expertise and specialty. We can all get together on a murder case. It's easier for it to get solved.
On the edge of town, a gritty area of motels, bars, and strip clubs. 3 p.m. Shots erupt from a motel parking lot. A motel guest flags down a passing patrol officer who finds a man riddled with bullets. At Tulsa homicide, the responding officer calls in.
Go ahead.
I can get one that. Yeah, no one.
10-4. Swallow. There is a tremendous amount of good, positive things that go on within the city of Tulsa. We get jaded a little bit because we see the very worst. That's what we do for a living. We deal with 5% of the population 95% of the time.
Lead Detective Jason White is a father of 5 who joined Tulsa homicide 5 years ago, fulfilling a lifelong dream.
It's something that I've wanted to do since I was about 6 years old. My dad was a highway patrolman, so I was kind of exposed to law enforcement at a young age. It's at the lower end of
motel, same story.
Several years ago, I did some undercover work in that complex, so I'm vaguely familiar with it. What do you got?
Somebody pulled up beside this white car, fired shots into it, killed the driver, injured the passenger. She all right? She looks pretty good.
The female victim, 33-year-old Amber Stevens, is at the hospital with a gunshot wound to the neck.
His name is Richard Parker.
57-year-old Richard Parker was known as Piso to his friends and family. He was a devoted father and grandfather who had struggled with drug addiction for many years.
He's got his cell phone clutched in his hand. Let's get him out of the car.
Piso has been shot 5 times.
Looks like a 22 in his pocket. He must not have seen it coming. I don't know about video that's in the surrounding area.
Patrol officers check with the motel manager about security cameras in the complex.
She said that they don't work.
All right. The key with these things is you gotta be freaking positive. Okay. Anybody here that has warrants needs to go downtown. Sounds good.
The team hits the complex,
Camera okay?
rounding up several people with outstanding warrants.
This is kind of a horseshoe complex. People are watching and seeing who's rolling in here and stuff because they're always on the lookout for police and so forth. Everybody here has got a ringside seat for what just happened.
White will head back to the office to start the interviews, while 2 detectives stay behind in case any other witnesses turn up.
We'll get more information than what we've got right now, that's for sure.
As the team gets ready to interview the motel guests,
The first shooting victim has already been released. The bullet got removed from her neck.
Detective John Brown has transported the surviving victim, Amber, from the hospital.
They pulled it out intact. It appears to be a large caliber weapon. You know, she's lucky to be walking. So I will go talk to her and see what she's got to say. Okay, Amber. You comfortable as much as possible? You okay? Okay. I just need you to be truthful with me. Okay, we need to find out who these people are and why they did what they did.
Okay.
How did you get hooked up with Piso today?
It wasn't nothing new for us to pull in over there.
Amber says she occasionally helps Piso deliver drugs at the motel.
So today wasn't really nothing different. Try to keep my head down because it can be a little intimidating over there.
Okay.
You've got 50 females standing around at doors, probably wondering who the hell is this bitch. It's a little scary over there sometimes.
Do you know which room you pull her in front of?
Yeah, I think it was 216.
So you guys pull in front of this room. Then what happened?
She came over to the window.
She says a woman walked over to the car and started talking with Piso.
No idea. And all I remember is her saying is, she needs some ice.
Okay.
The woman was looking to get some meth from Piso.
You know this lady
No,
too personally?
No, I did not. I don't remember anything about the conversation. I don't even know what I was doing. When I was sitting there in the car, I don't know where it came from. The pops went off.
She said, I don't know nothing. I I was there. I was looking. I don't know. No, it's human hair. So just like your natural hair, if it's flammable, then yeah.
Was the
The braiding hair is not flammable.
It was just like somebody had taken
The
like a
curls are
trash and just
human, so it's just
swooped
like
it
your
past. I
natural
didn't know
hair.
somebody was running.
Amber claims she didn't see the gunman.
I don't know. I really don't.
So if Piso had a beef with somebody, who would know that?
I don't know because he never said he had a beef with anybody.
Any thoughts or ideas of who may have shot him?
No.
With no leads on the shooter, Detective Jason White and his team interview the guests from the motel.
Hey, I need you to wake up for me if you don't mind. Tell me what happened today.
She's asleep. In the interrogation. She guilty.
Are you high right now? You're killing me.
Were you doing the dope?
Yeah, I do my dumb fun, don't I? No, I smoke, tobacco is okay.
Alright, what happened?
Hey, where you go? Somebody got shot. Or somebody's dead, or some man's dead, or something. What's going on?
You saw nothing. Half the other people stand out there saw nothing. I heard shots. I didn't look.
Like you said, didn't get away. Just what you thought through.
After hours in the interview room.
So you don't know nothing about nothing? Alright.
They still have no leads on the shooter or the mystery woman who spoke to Piso.
You're just dealing with people that float around a lot. Everybody works with street names or first names, and nobody knows last names, and it's just a different kind of a segment of society that most of us don't understand, but that's just what we're dealing with.
Eight hours in.
Go ahead.
Corporal Nathan Schilling, who stayed behind at the motel, uncovered a new witness.
Great, what's the story? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. All right. We have a witness that's coming down here that supposedly saw the entire thing. Good. That's good stuff right there. That's what you call good stuff.
An hour later.
My name's Jason White. I appreciate you coming down here. I know that you're upset. Tell me what happened today.
She comes over and, she was talking to my wife.
He says the day of the murder, a woman at the motel stopped by their room.
She's a white girl.
Like a Tucker?
Yes.
She white?
Yes, she's white. I want to say, she's not fat. She's thick. She started telling my wife these stories.
The woman said that the victim, Piso, robbed and shot someone a few weeks ago.
Yeah, she's supposed to have just got out of the hospital. And when she said that, I realized the situation was serious.
I gotcha.
He says the man Piso shot wanted the woman to help him get revenge.
So he can, you know what I'm saying, I guess kill him. She said, I'm gonna be a middle. Because she's friends with both of them. And I told her, we decided what we do, but she can get away from her. Reached out the door, and I'm getting out the window. He gets in the car.
He says as Piso and Amber were about to leave, the woman approached them and started talking.
She's in the car. The police said, pulls up. Stops right there.
What does he do?
Gets at the car. I think he had it right here. It's done. Like, oh, it's done. And when he's running up, as soon as he hit the window, he started letting shots go. Pop, 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 pop. I think it was like 46 shots. Dude fell over. Fell over. And he went back to the car. He encouraged me to
Man, it's all right to
Y'all
cry.
want to see me tuck this?
We were like this close away from having 2 people killed. So I'm going to rely upon you and your wife to be heroes. I need a name. I need a name like now.
Hi.
We were like this close away from having 2 people killed. I need a name. I need a name like now.
I don't know his name.
You know my street name.
Bless you.
Yeah, we need to get the wife. There's no doubt.
Patrol heads out to pick up the witness's wife.
My name's Jason White. Tell me what happened.
I was standing there looking out the window, and I seen the gold car pull back up.
She says the suspect was driving a gold Ford Fusion.
And then he jumped out of his car and ran up. I mean, I just saw him like 5 or 6 times.
Take a breath. I know this is hard for you. I mean, you ever seen anything like this before? I need some help telling me a name. Do you have any ideas?
Giovanni or something like that. Giovanni or something like that.
She says she doesn't know if Giovanni is his real name.
He looked like he was maybe 5'7", 5'8", maybe. Dark skin.
How old?
He looked like he was probably in his late 20s.
What was his hairstyle like?
It was real short, like, it was real short on top.
If you saw a picture, you'd be able to recognize him?
Yeah.
Let's try Facebook.
The team combs databases and Facebook for anyone matching the suspect.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's around my neck, guys, so I'm sorry. It must have leaned to the side while I was doing it. But I'm going to do it again. Sorry about that. Is that better?
Throughout the night,
No? Let's try this.
the team
Okay.
shows the couple photo after photo.
Take a peek here.
But you see how I tucked it, huh? Blonde wear.
I'm going to be getting an undercover narcotics guy. I'll call. He's kind of what I would consider one of my soldiers out there. Hey, bro, what's up? Over there at the end. Who's the chick that looks like she's thick?
Detective Jason White hopes the officer can work his contacts to get full names on the shooter and the woman who may have set up Piso.
Yeah, find that name out.
Okay.
Do me a favor, bro. All right, bye. All right, we'll see what that happens. We'll plant the seeds and see if they're going to grow. What are your thoughts on it?
Tonight, I think it's better than that age.
Stopping point.
At 4 in the morning, the team calls it a night. After a few hours of sleep,
Picture real
I
quick.
shouldn't help me solve this case.
White gives his partner, Detective Ronnie Leatherman, a wake-up call.
Will it meet with the family of the victim? Hello. Do you want us to come in or?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First and foremost, we're very sorry for your loss. I don't know who the individual is that did this yet, If you guys hear something, I need to know.
Not one of those persons. But Richard, highly intelligent, extremely loving and caring, and loves his family. My other brother said every conversation he had was very intimate. That was one he chose to be intimate. Because he made me feel like he was the only person in the room.
I used to be outside the drug habit and the drug use. A beautiful person.
And not only was he killed in this, but there was a young lady that was next to him. She missed death by just, I mean, literally by a millimeter. Nobody wants anybody out there that's going to do something like this. We are going to fight for him and your family to the end. If you have any questions, call me. Good people. It's sad that they have to meet with me, but that's just the way. That's a sad deal. This case is not going to
Hey.
Failure's not an option.
We need to find the prostitutes that got away, right?
Yes. All right, let's keep rolling.
More than a day into the investigation, they joined the search for the woman who may have set up Piso.
There's a couple of streets that are known for prostitution, and this is one of them. You'll see them out here walk along the streets. They'll try to flag you down for a ride. It's basically what they do all day long to try to get money for drugs. She'll pop out. She's probably in a motel room right now.
Oh, shoot. I know my whole drink. My drink fell. Dang. Shoot. I mean, splashed everywhere.
They get a break.
Hold on, guys.
What street?
A CI tells him where he can find the woman.
Well, I know.
Where? What do you mean where?
You don't know. Me and my friends came down there. I didn't want her to see me.
I get that. I get that. Where is she? She on foot?
She's on foot. She wears a white shirt with it on her head. And she's got the hot pink shirt, so she's still in the skirt.
Alright. Keep looking. God bless. Freaking cool.
That thing sprayed hard, didn't it? It's on the wall.
That's her.
She jumps into a car.
What are you doing running off on me?
No, I didn't know you were cops. I thought I seen somebody.
Who are you? Let me see your ID.
I saw you pull up like that, and I didn't know what was going on.
Take off. Get up in the front seat. Front seat. Listen to me. Here's what you need to be worried about right now. You're going to tell me some truth. You know what I mean? Or you're going to be in some big trouble. I'm about the nicest cop you're going to meet, all right? Relax. Put your seatbelt on. I didn't mean to get upset with you. Kind of got me riled up, you know what I mean? Been looking for you for freaking days. But I'm sure you kind of figured we would have been wanting to speak with you at some point, right? And your timetable wasn't working for me, so she's gonna live.
As the clock winds down,
Person spelling?
White may find finally find out who shot Piso.
I'm glad we're finally here and we're talking.
In the first 48, Tulsa homicide responded to the murder of Richard Piso Parker. Learned that the shooting may have been a retaliation. Tracked down an eyewitness who allegedly knows the killer and brought her in for questioning.
You know the players here. And therefore, you're in a really bad spot. Your honesty is going to be what decides what I'm going to do with you. Okay?
I heard that Piso had shot somebody recently, I guess.
Who did you shoot?
She says Jelani recently got out of the hospital and was angry at Piso about the shooting.
I felt like I was in the middle because I was friends with Piso. And I was friends with Jelani.
Okay, and then what happened?
Piso was getting ready to leave.
She says the day of the murder, she saw Piso get into his car with a woman.
Piso called me out to the car. And I was there, I thought the zone. I seen a guy running towards me. And I stood back. That's when he shot Piso.
Who's he?
I don't know. Factually, I did not see his face. I'm not saying that it wasn't Jelani, but I can't tell you that it was Jelani either.
You know exactly who shot him. Do I need to read you your rights and take you to jail? I mean,
Why are you being so towards me?
because I've been wasting my...
Piso was my friend too. Just then that, Piso was my friend.
All right. The word on the streets is that you helped set this up.
Nobody's ever asked me to set anybody up. I didn't call Piso over there. He just showed up. I didn't call Piso.
Jelani, did he give you his number?
White finds Jelani's number and something else.
Was that meth? Okay. I'll be back in a minute. Let me see if we can get this stuff tested. What do you think about that?
You put her in?
For the meth.
What's our advantage to putting her in jail?
We know where she is.
I mean, she'll stay in there, but that doesn't give it to Jelani.
They head back to the interview with a new strategy.
What's our job? To put murderers in jail. You're not a murderer. Do you think Jelani's gonna come down here and knock on our door? You know what we're looking for.
I do.
How do we get there?
You have to have somebody set him up.
Would you be willing to call him and set him up? What you have in your purse is methamphetamine. The way you go home tonight without ever...
Thank you. Sorry, I wasted my drink, y'all.
If you make that pretext phone call to him, out there somewhere...
I gotta reorder.
Tomorrow, 9:30. 9:30. Jackie. 9:30. Jackie. All right.
The next morning,
What's that? Good girl. You're a little late. I was wondering. Okay, well, that's good. I'm proud of you for calling me. 10:15-ish is what we're looking for. All right, bye.
She makes a phone call, he shows up, we're on it. I'm gonna play this out, and I gotta let it take a hostage. I still have the upset stomach that comes with these things.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey.
phone to record the call.
You ready for her to give it a shot?
That's the thing.
What's up? I tried to call your man yesterday. You didn't even answer your phone. You been cooling off? Yeah. That's what you gotta do for real. Just stay out the way, man. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, shut up.
Yeah. Stop laughing, I ain't cute.
What wrong?
One clean.
Anyway, I can't call it, man. I sure want to come see you today, though.
Jelani says he'll come by later that afternoon.
Be available when I call you, man. All right?
All right. I need you to keep me posted. Give me a call every hour. Okay. Be careful.
I have contact. Pushing control. I'll stand down until something happens.
While they wait for the woman to call, White has a new idea to try and identify Jelani.
You know what I want? Here's what I need. A list of just everybody that's been shot in Tulsa for the last 3 months. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, I'll start looking.
White wants to search through databases for any shooting victims that match the suspect's description.
Let's start from 3 months ago. Why don't you take May, I'll take June, dailies and major case updates.
There is a ton of shootings in the city. It's just not as easy as one would think.
Tulsa has up to 300 shooting victims per year.
You always like these mysteries.
Let's get to Jason's murder that we're working right now.
Sergeant Dave Walker calls in the other detectives to help with the search.
I need to know, like, every black male that's been shot that survived in the last 3 months. We don't even know if Jelani's a part of his real name or if it's just a street name.
After searching through phone records and case files,
Cordelia Scott.
Detective John Brown finds a man who was shot a month ago.
He's got a lengthy record, got some assault, dangerous drugs.
Cordarius Scott's phone number is the same one they have for Jelani.
This is big. We're gonna take it to my witnesses. If they do identify him, then that's huge.
Hold on, guys.
I'm cautiously optimistic. How you doing? Okay, I'm gonna show you a series of pictures. I want you to take your time. I want you to scan through the individual that you know as Jelani may or may not be in here, okay?
The witness identifies Cordarius Scott, aka Jelani, as the trigger man.
Take care of your kids. Here, give your kids some stickers. See you, man. All right, one of my witnesses positively ID'd our suspect.
This case is coming together like nobody's business. I'm gonna give you guys where we're at right now and what we need, basically. I have to go back.
At homicide, Walker meets with the Fugitive Warrants Unit.
The July drives the gold Ford Focus with tinted windows. I'm 90% sure that he's the shooter.
On the right side, there's 85 Ford Focuses registered to the town of Tulsa.
The team heads to Jelani's last known address to see if they can spot him or his gold car.
We're actually sitting in the nightstand in the parking lot watching the rain.
Meanwhile, White and Leatherman keep an eye on the woman's motel to see if Jelani pays her a visit.
Sounded like we really wanted to come and see her.
I have not seen it south of me.
That's gold 4G at 56 and 10 grand coming
It's interesting.
The fugitive team decides to follow the car.
Let's kind of go and get into the mix. Could certainly turn into a pursuit.
I'm right here. You can't miss it. You gotta pull a different dog. I'm not sure what he's gonna try to do. I'm not sure what he's gonna try to do.
Can't see him in his rep.
Come out the driver's side. Pop that door open. Start walking backwards towards my boy. Don't be reaching on those pants. Stop. Stop. Now you walk towards the guy in the red shirt.
All right. That's the way we like it.
Sorry about the delay. You've been very patient, and I appreciate it.
I heard you're a rapper.
Something like that.
We'll bust out a rap. Let's hear something.
No, he didn't.
They asked me questions. My hand hurt. I'm being shot. It's the end of the lesson.
Do you go by the street names? Jelani? Phone number?
I don't have one.
What's the phone number for that one?
I'm not even sure. This one cat had left that phone in the car, so.
That was just in the car. You don't use it?
Mm-mm.
Did you get shot recently? Like about a month ago?
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that.
Man, I was trying to break up a fight. These Mexicans was out there fighting and trying to break it up.
So I want to talk to you about what happened at the inn. You've been identified out there. We have evidence to put you there, and that's what you're here for. And you've already lied to me a little bit because I've got you on tape talking on that phone today.
Today?
Yeah.
Talking on that phone?
Yeah. If you do not want to talk to me, you're going to go to jail. I don't have a choice but to go off of what we've got.
I'm saying, what do you mean I'm going to jail? I'm not even registering that. What am I going to jail for?
Murder.
How you just going to put that on me?
I have nothing else to go off of other than what I have from witnesses that were out there and the evidence at the scene. You may have a reason for what happened.
If y'all feel like y'all got some evidence to take me to jail and some bull, then let's go to jail, man. I'm not finna sit here and talk to y'all about some bull that I ain't got nothing to do with.
That is your right, man. You're gonna go to jail today for murder.
Y'all taking me to jail for what? Murder?
They already told you this. Now he acting all surprised. Murder?
Can't wrap my face. Some people tell us what's up and some people don't. I would love to be able to go back to the family and say, hey, this guy's sorry, you know, for this, instead of just acting like it's just nothing. I think that's just revenge, is what it was.
We're heading to visit with the family personally to let them know about the arrest. I mean, this is probably one of the most rewarding parts of our job.
Hi. You dropping off? Yeah. There's markers up there.
We got him. We got him. His name is Cordarius Scott. He chose not to speak with us, and I wasn't surprised. That's. I mean, how do you explain something like this?
Welcome.
It's an 8.5. It was very difficult.
Jason often talks about the difficulty scale of a murder 1 to 10, and it's self-created, and he kind of inflates his own numbers at times, in my personal opinion. For instance, the other day, Justin's was only a difficulty scale of 2. His apparently is an 8.5.
And actually, I thought it was.
Hi. Dropping off. Up there on the counter. Is your name on it? Yes. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
A lot of roadblocks along the way. At least he's in custody. You know, we don't have to worry about him doing this to anybody else.
Police in Chicago are facing pressure to bring the city's rising violence under control. More than 4,300 people have been shot this year, and there have been more than 750 homicides, the worst numbers in 2 decades.
Before President Obama started his emotional speech Tuesday against gun violence, 2 people had been shot in Chicago, state police.
We are the only advanced country on earth that sees this kind of mass violence erupt with this kind of frequency.
Soon after he finished speaking, that number would jump.
Might as well, huh?
9 more would be shot, 4 fatally.
Developing tonight, city leaders say they need help. The call comes after a mass shooting at Parkway Gardens complex on the south side that wounded 6 people.
Now, growing up in Chicago, what was that like for you? Can you paint that picture for us? It was regular for me, like, you know, because I grew up there, and but when I look at other people, some moving around,
I see how other people growing up and how they life is. Like, so it'd probably be hard for them. It ain't the same as I see everybody else. Me growing up, when I got in trouble early, 15 years old, shit like that. The English graduated high school and shit. All that shit. So when it was time for me to step up, I was already in jail. I was already in trouble.
Street activity.
Yes, you get killed going to school. People get killed going to school. People get killed on bus stops, going to school, out the house 7 in the morning, shit like that. You get killed like that easy in Chicago.
We can't even put our mind in what it must be like to be a kid that grows up in the south side of Chicago in 2024, where you're seeing people shot every weekend. To expect that child to come out of that environment and then go to Yale and be fine with everything. When he's heard bullets whiz by his head, he's seen his friends get
That's
shot.
not how it
He's seen
sounds.
drive-bys, he's seen all that.
Shorty is different, you know what I'm saying? He was a real enforcer. Like Shorty was he was acting for real, you know? For real acting. Some people would just like can't help it. Like call T Roy, you know, you go crazy, you know?
They gon' eat some. If you ain't old block, you ain't on the eye.
James Johnson, aka T. Roy, was born on October 30th, 1993 in Chicago, Illinois. He was born and raised in the Parkway Gardens, and he grew up in a very crowded environment in the infamous housing projects. He lived in a home with his 2 brothers and sisters, as well as his mom, grandmother, father, and several cousins. But unlike other people who would become synonymous with the area, T. Roy was born and raised, and his family had strong ties there before it would ever be known as Wick City or any other name. In the early 1990s, more and more BDs started to migrate to Parkway Gardens. But it's said that during this time, BDs had their own buildings and GDs had their buildings as well. Some say that the gangs were actually all clicked up during this time under the banner of Parkway Murder Drive, before it was completely taken over by the Black Disciples. T. Roy had an uncle named Tokyo G, who was the father of Big Talk from Black Mom. He was well known and well respected in the Parkway Gardens and known for being a big-time drug dealer. During this time, the owner of the apartment complex began to let residents move in without doing a background check, which attracted a lot of people who were trying to set up drug operations. T. Roy's uncle Tokyo G was one of those individuals, and he was known for getting a lot of money until he was murdered on September 23rd of 1996. It's been reports that Tokyo G's murder
Is that right,
was the
Detroit?
very first body to drop in a very bitter rivalry between the GDs on 63rd and the BDs on 6400 Martin Luther King Drive. During that time, 63rd was known as Boss City and would later change its name to STL. T. Roy also had an older cousin who was well known in the streets named Larry Tibbetts, aka Nutso from Lakeside, but he represented Wick City as well once they changed the name. He was violently murdered in the mid-2000s. Allegedly, he was murdered by G. Piso from the No Limit Muskegon Boys. There are countless stories about T. Roy's family roots in the Parkway Garden, and this is the type of environment that he was raised in, surrounded by gangs, drugs, and murder, facing the same issues that many kids in the hoods of Chicago and across America face every day: a lack of resources, a lack of opportunity that turns into a lack of hope for the future. During T. Roy's time in elementary school or middle school, it wasn't a place for him to learn the basic educational necessities that he would need in order to become a productive citizen. It was more like gladiator school, a place to meet up and fight against your ops. This became a common occurrence while T. Roy was attending Walter H. Dyer High School. It's said that he and fellow O-Block members would constantly have to fight against members from Gyro City, STL, and Mall. But these childhood scuffles would turn into some of the most deadly times in Chicago in the 2010s. Around this same time, there was another young man who was starting to come of age in the Chicago streets. His name was Davon Bennett, and would later be known as King Von. Born on August 9th of 1994,
He was so cute.
Chambers and Walter Silk Bennett, who was a well-known drug dealer and Black disciple from the Ader Park neighborhood. He was murdered on July 31st of 2005 due to gang violence. The story goes he was shot in the head by a sniper after leaving a skating ring. King Von was just 11 years old when his father was murdered. He grew up in an area called Killer Ward, known for being predominantly gangster disciples. Around 2009, his family relocated to Parkway Gardens. But even after relocating, he continued to spend a lot of time around his guys from Killer Ward, and a lot of them were cool with STL St. Lawrence. So King Von spent time on 63rd around people who would later become some of his most hated rivals. It's said that once members of STL learned that King Von was living in Parkway Gardens, they felt like he was trying to play both sides and tried to constantly jump him while he was attending Hyde Park High School. Carlton Weekly, aka FBG Duck, went there too and accused King Von of switching from GD
Yes,
when he
they
was
are.
in Killer Ward to Black Disciple when he moved to Parkway Gardens. King Von will later dispute these claims. FBG Duck states that it's
Doing the most. Hey, yeah.
He know he got his ass beat. Too. He got his ass beat on the bus. Your ass used to hang with us. You flipped.
I'm just dropping my phone. Dropping everything.
Your ass used to hang with us. Too. Your ass used to kill a war.
Hey, Mike.
From O-Block, bro.
From Detroit.
King Von daddy beat him.
I'm from Chicago.
Jumped off the porch before his mama moved over. Von would have been beat.
But I'm in
King
Phoenix.
Von lived where the gangsters was at. GD, one of the biggest GD sets in Chicago. Close enough. GD crazy. Just so happened his mama moved somewhere where the BDs was at, and his daddy BD. So it just, it felt right for him. If his mama ain't moved over there, boy, we been throwing up pitchforks, man.
While living on his new block, King Von met T. Roy, and the two quickly became best friends. They had a shared hatred for STL in Gyro City, as well as 051 Young Money and TYMB. But it wasn't just T. Roy who Von got close with. It was people like White, Chief Keef, O.D. Perry, Platoon, She Roy, Boss Top, E-Dog, BJ, and many others. King Von already had a reputation in Killer Ward for being active as a youngin'. But T. Roy taught him what he needed to know to survive in Parkway Gardens. They both began to take guns to school on a regular basis. G. Herbo from NLMB, who was going to school with Von during this time, would even rap about it on the song FaceTime, rapping about how Von showed him a revolver in his freshman year. The schoolyard fights were now trending towards gunplay. And during this time in the early 2010s, there were multiple events taking place in the city that would prove to be a perfect recipe for disaster. The Chicago Police Department had historically low numbers when it came to murders and non-fatal shootings, some of the lowest in the United States. There's been a lot of blame placed on Illinois politicians, which some people believe have passed laws that turned the city into a war zone. Some people say it's because the police are understaffed and lack the manpower, but others believe that it's simply because they don't care and view gang murders as collateral damage. Mix that with a broken public school system that's more like a breeding ground for crime than it is higher learning, along with drill music that was on the rise during that time as well, being led by T. Roy and King Von's good friend Chief Keef, a new genre of music that celebrated disrespect, violence, and murder. It would become the soundtrack to a new generation of gang members in Parkway Gardens and beyond. On his song, I Don't Like, Chief Keef would say the lyrics, and we ain't gonna fight, our guns gonna fight, and that's exactly what was on the horizon.
We're going to take you now to Chicago, where this past weekend at least 52 people were shot, 8 of them killed, in a wave of violence across the city. What is going on there? Here's Chris Beery.
The mayhem at this housing project made no more sense than any of the other shootings found in a weekend of violence so typical it didn't even make the front pages.
They're waging war in the streets of Chicago, and we're losing children every single day.
Most of the shootings took place in poor neighborhoods, far from downtown and tourist attractions. One reason much of the city seems to be shrugging its shoulders.
I think people just say, oh, it's a bunch of gangbangers shooting at each other. Unfortunately, though, often a lot of innocent people get caught in the crossfire.
It's said that in late 2010, a fight took place between FBG Butter and King Von. According to members of STL, Butter got the best of Von, and within 20 minutes of the fight being over, BDs from Parkway Gardens had already came back to 63rd and shot FBG Butter in the leg.
You mentioned Butter and Vaughn on the bus. And you were there for that. Can you kind of take me through?
I just remember hearing loud commotion. I looked out the porch to see the bus right there. So I guess I'm at the bus stop, I see it stop. So I been off the porch, I see it. Whole crowd of them right there. So I run down there. Bro, I'm running through the crowd. Now I see Butter. He swinging on Vaughn. Bro, they fighting. You feel me? Butter getting the best of him, you feel me? But Vaughn, he ain't going. He fighting back, you feel me? Butter fought a one-on-one, you feel me? I fought him and Killer wasn't there right there. They try him like, yeah, well, just, you know, he talking this little, you feel me? He just whooped Vaughn. Butter got shot. Right.
So wait, Butter got shot. It is the same that day?
That day.
Okay, well.
Literally 20 minutes later. Probably not even 20.
I swear to God, and I popped that person.
Butter whole kneecap was blew off, bro. I'm talking about his whole leg was blew off. I ain't never seen no shit like that. It looked like some arm, looked like some collar.
Soon the brewing war between 63rd STL and Parkway Gardens, also known as Wick City, would be fully unleashed on the streets of Chicago. Because on the evening of January 12, 2011, Shondell Gregory was waiting at a bus stop on East 63rd. Then a dark colored vehicle pulled up and a man wearing a mask got out. According to witnesses, he asked the people there if they knew when the next bus was coming. Then he walked behind the bus shelter. That's when he pulled out a long silver gun that looked like a revolver and shot Shondell Gregory once, then shot him 3 more times as he stumbled to the ground. Dying on the scene at only 15 years old, he was known as Tuco on 63rd, the best friend to FBG Duck, FBG Brick, Jakira K.I. Barnes, and many others in STL. He was a beloved member, and now they wanted revenge. Word started going around that it was a member of Wick City that killed Tuka, a best friend to T. Roy and King Von, named O.D. Perry. People assumed that it was him because he would often post on social media with a silver revolver, similar to the gun described to kill Tuka. But there's also speculation that O.D. Perry had nothing to do with it, and that it was actually a gang called TYMB, or Ty You're My Brother. But even if it was just a rumor now, it was too late. O.D. Perry became a top target for STL, and on August 10, 2011, at about 11:30 p.m., O.D. Perry was riding his bike on the 400 block of E64. He was headed back to Wick City after going to the Swisher store, but before he could reach the gates, a car pulled up. A gunman got out and shot O.D. Perry twice, once in the neck. Members of Wick City witnessed the whole thing, and T. Roy was one of those people who was by O.D.'s side as they tried to save him, waiting for the ambulance. He was pronounced dead in the early morning hours of August 11, 2011, passing away at only 20 years old. Watching one of his best friends slip away right before his very eyes traumatized T. Roy. And like everybody else in Wick City, he wanted revenge. And in honor of O.D. Perry, they would rename Parkway Gardens O-Block. The murders of Shondell Gregory and O.D. Perry would serve as the catalyst to a war that would last for the next decade, with numerous bodies dropping on both sides, and young lives being taken at an alarming rate before they could even reach the age of 21. King Von was locked up while all of this was happening. He caught a robbery charge in January of 2011. They were trying to give him years, but he would ultimately be sentenced to time in a military-style boot camp for juveniles. But while Von was down, T. Roy would constantly represent him. He even changed his Twitter handle to Free King Von, and often wearing clothes that read the same. But they were both about to lose another friend to their hated rivals on 63rd. Because on October 11th of 2011, Edward Riley, aka Platoon, would be shot and killed in front of O-Block. It was reported that he was shot in the face and then multiple times in the body, and whoever did it stood over. Platoon was only 20 years old when he was murdered. T-Roy wanted revenge for Piso, and he knew exactly who to go after. STLEBT Everhart had been all over social media taking credit for not only killing Piso, but also killing OD Perry. Rapper Little J, who was affiliated with 63rd, would even tweet out, shout out to them twins who created Oba, referring to FBG Butter and KI. Some people believe that it was actually Rodney Stewart, aka Boss Trill from STLEBT, along with KI were the ones who really killed OD Perry. Not to mention that KI was famously posed with the silver revolver that OD Perry was